Hello students, in today's lecture, that is lecture number 4, we are going to start with the topic of pH. This topic was briefly introduced in lecture number 3 also, so if you have not watched that lecture, I suggest that you should go and watch that lecture before you see lecture number 4. So I'll be starting with the topic pH. The full form of the term pH is potential of hydrogen. This is the full form of the word pH. In German, it is also known as Potenzhydrogen. This is the German form, and actually it is from the German form that the English version has been derived. So this is what is actually pH. So pH depends on how many hydrogen ions are present in a particular solution. If the number of hydrogen ions is more, the pH is less, and if the number of hydrogen ions is less, the pH is more. So basically it is a scale from 7 towards 1 and then towards 14, where 7 represents neutral nature. That means if a substance is having a pH of 7, it is neither acidic nor basic, it is neutral. And as you move from 7 towards 1, the acidic character increases, and as you move from 7 towards 14, the basic character increases. And how do we measure the pH? How do we come to know that what is the pH of a particular substance? In the first lecture of this chapter, we discussed that there's an indicator which is known as universal indicator. When universal indicator is impregnated on paper strips, it forms pH paper. The term used for that particular paper which is impregnated with universal indicator is pH paper. And when you purchase pH paper from the market, it comes in the form of strips. It comes in the form of boxes like this, and inside it there are strips like this. And when you dip the strip in paper in a particular solution which you want to test, you want to know the pH of that particular solution, the color of the strip changes. And on the strip itself, there's a chart which is given here, which represents like which color stands for what pH. There's a table of colors on the strip. This is not actually pH paper that I'm showing you. This is litmus paper. But pH paper is also like this only. So that is why I'm showing you over here. So whenever you dip the pH paper in a particular solution, you get a particular color, and you tally that color with the strip that is provided with the litmus paper, and you can come to know what is the exact pH of that particular substance or solution, whatever you are testing, right? So this is about pH and how it is measured. Now I want to know what is the importance of pH in our daily life. So first application of pH in our daily life we'll be discussing now. The first application is in plants and animals. In plants and animals. What role does pH play in plants and animals? Our body has a pH range of 7 to 7.8. That is our body. We all know that there are some chemical reactions or biochemical reactions which are going on in our body. These reactions or these enzymes or whatever things are involved in these reactions, they function best only between this pH range, that is 7 to 7.8. If the pH falls below 7 or the pH goes above 7.8, then these processes are not able to function normally, and it creates a problem which can even lead to death. So it can be that much dangerous, right? Then rainwater. What is rainwater? We all know that when it rains, the water falling from the clouds is known as rainwater. And you've also heard about acid rain. So how do we distinguish between a normal rain and an acid rain? Look, we all know that whenever fossil fuels undergo combustion, some oxides of sulfur and nitrogen are always produced. And these days, we can't imagine a life without burning fossil fuels, because in our vehicles we use petrol, diesel as fuels. Our industries are working on fossil fuels. So, no matter what the situation is, some amount of sulfur oxides and nitrogen oxides are always present in the atmosphere. Even if we consider our particular area to be very pollution free, still some oxides of sulfur and nitrogen will be found in the air at every place. And when it rains, these oxides are acidic in nature, and these oxides, they dissolve in the rainwater and they form dilute acids which falls down in the form of, it's not correct to use the word acid rain, because rain is not always acidic, although it contains a small amount of acid always. So rain is always slightly acidic, but slightly acidic rain is not acid rain. It is termed acid rain only if the pH falls below 5.6. If the pH is below 5.6, then it is known as acid rain. Just now I told you that neutral is 7. If you take pure water, it has a pH of 7, which is neutral. So less than 7 is obviously acidic. So it can be 6, but if the pH of water is 6, we will not term it as acid rain. We will term it as acid rain only if the pH goes below 5.6. So you have to remember these values. And acid rain is harmful because when this rain, it flows to water bodies, it flows in rivers, ponds, or local water bodies which are there, it alters the pH of that water body, which affects the aquatic life also. The aquatic plants, the aquatic animals, they are not able to survive in such acidic conditions. That is why we consider the pH, the acid rain, to be harmful. Similarly, when this rain falls on soil, it also changes the pH of the soil. So it affects the fertility of the soil also. So that is why again it is considered to be harmful. So these are the reasons why acid rain is harmful. Moreover, when the acid rain falls on the monuments, it corrodes the structures, because acids, when they react with marble or sandstone, they react and they corrode the structure, and as such acids are corrosive. And if they fall on our skin also, then also our skin can also get damaged. We can suffer from certain skin problems, and if it is in excess, then it may even cause skin cancer. So that is why acid rain is very, very harmful for the entire living system, we should say. The second application of pH is in our digestive system. When we studied the chapter life processes, I told you that HCl is secreted in our stomach, right? Now we are going to discuss about how pH in our digestive system. Okay, so HCl is produced in our stomach, and HCl is a very strong acid. So when the acid is strong, obviously the pH will fall much below 7. But there's a reason why that acid is required, which we discussed in the chapter life processes. It's essential because it has to disinfect the food that we are eating. It has to activate the enzymes that are being secreted by the stomach. So that is why it is important there. But along with the HCl, the mucus that is secreted, it protects the walls of the stomach from the corrosive action of the acid. So at places the lower pH is required also, we cannot say that always acids are harmful for us. Acids at times, they are essential for our survival, right? So this is the second application of pH in our digestive system. And normally when we eat something spicy or something which is quite heavy, or sometimes when we overeat, at that time the secretion of the acid is more, and we suffer from a problem which is known as acidity. And what do we normally do to find a solution to that problem of acidity? We go in for an antacid. Either we take ENO or we take some tablet which is easily available in the market. Antacids are easily available at all chemist shops. So what do those antacids do, and what are they chemically? They are actually bases, mild edible bases, which are not harmful for our body. So when we eat that medicine, it goes in our stomach. The base present in that medicine neutralizes the acid that was there in the stomach, and we get immediate relief. That is how these antacids are so effective, and they act immediately because they immediately neutralize that acid, and we get permanent or immediate relief from the problem or the pain or the burning sensation that we were having in our stomach. So that is about the digestive system. Then the third application of pH is tooth decay. So how does pH play a role in tooth decay? You must have heard, you must have been instructed by your parents, by the dentist, and you must have read in your books also that we should not eat too much of sweet things, especially before going to bed. There's a reason behind this, a scientific reason which is based on pH. When we eat too sugary things and we don't brush our teeth after that, those there are some bacteria which permanently live in our mouth. Everybody's mouth has some special type of bacteria which are always present there, and they feed on the sugar which keeps sticking to our teeth after we have eaten the food, and they break down that sugar to form acid. Our teeth have a very hard outer protective coating which is known as the tooth enamel. It is the hardest substance present in our body. And when the acid is present in our mouth, that acid has the ability to dissolve the tooth enamel. So once the tooth enamel starts dissolving, we tend to get cavities in our teeth, and then we have to visit a dentist and get ourselves treated. In order to prevent this problem, it is always advised that if you are having something sweet, always brush your teeth after that, and at least 2 times of brushing is required in the morning and before going to bed. This keeps the bacteria minimum active. So because the leftover food particles, the sweet things that are stuck on our teeth, they get removed, and especially at night because the time period is very long, it's very important to brush your teeth at night so that the food particles sticking to your mouth, the sweet things that are sticking to your mouth, they are removed before you go to sleep. So that is how toothpaste work. Toothpaste are generally basic in nature. They help in neutralizing the acid that is present in our mouth, and thereby they help in preventing tooth decay. So this is the role of acids in tooth decay. Another example I want to give you over here is that whenever you have a cold drink, do you know that all cold drinks are acidic in nature? So after having a cold drink, you feel a strange sensation on your teeth. It is basically because since the cold drinks are acidic, they also act on your teeth and they dissolve the enamel. And it is because of that you feel that strange sensation on your teeth. Similarly, if you have something very sour like tamarind, or if you just have you're just sucking lemon without diluting it, without adding water to it, that time also you get the same sensation on your teeth. This is again because all things that are sour, they contain acid, and that acid acts on our teeth, which produces that tingling or that strange sensation on the teeth. So that is about tooth decay. The fourth application, and a very important one which is very frequently asked on the exam, this is chemical warfare by animals and plants. Chemical warfare by animals and plants. All of you must be familiar with the honeybee and its sting. So these bees, or the wasp, the yellow wasp that is there, it gives a very painful bite, which we say. It's actually not a bite, it's a sting. It has a sting in which methanoic acid is present, and when it feels a sense of danger or it attacks a person, it injects that acid in our skin, which causes inflammation and pain. Immediate relief can be obtained by rubbing a small amount of baking soda on the affected area, because baking soda is a base. It helps in neutralizing the acid that has been injected by the insect in our skin, and it provides immediate relief. Similarly, there's a plant which is called the nettle plant. This plant has stinging leaves. If you touch the leaf of this plant accidentally, you will get a burning sensation on your fingers or the part which has come in contact with the plant. This is because the leaves of this plant inject again methanoic acid into the skin, which causes the problem. So this is about the nettle plant, and along with the nettle plant you always find the antidote for it. There's another plant which is going alongside it always, and the local people who live in the forest areas, they identify the plant very well, and that plant has a small amount of base in its leaf. So when you rub that, you get immediate relief from the effect of the nettle plant in case you have touched it accidentally, right? So these are the four basic applications of pH in our daily lives in plants and animals. This I told you that a body works in a pH range, particular pH range, that is of 7 to 7.8. Then we talked about acid rain. Then in the digestive system, tooth decay and chemical warfare by animals and plants. So these are the applications or the importance of pH in our lives. So with this, the topic of pH is complete. Mind it, this topic I have taken up only according to the level of class 10, how much is required for class 10. And actually, there's a small addition to this, that pH is the negative log of hydrogen ion concentration. Negative log of hydrogen ion concentration. This is a mathematical formula for calculating the pH, but it is not a part of class 10 syllabus, so that is why I am not taking this up in detail, right?